it was certainly we didn't have a whole lot of wind in our sails, I guess would be the best way to put it. Last night and the run that we've been on, it took a lot out of everybody, physically and emotionally. But we hung in there. I would love to see that ball go over the fence for Kyle Seager. That's kind of a microcosm of our season. So close, and but a number of guys, like we hit on yesterday, had great years. Get a chance to talk to a number of players today in the clubhouse here about, looking forward to the future and what's ahead of them. I think we ended up with, 86 wins, I think it was. We'd certainly like to have 87, 88, and 89, but wasn't meant to be. But our guys, again, great effort all year, and you can really see the bond in our clubhouse and how much they care for each other, it says a lot when you spend that much time together that you can still put up with each other at the end or the beginning of October. And it says a lot about the personalities and the people we have in here.
You talked about how hard it is to win one game. I went to win 86 and finish above 500.
It is. I'm not in it to finish above 500. I'm really not. And I think, no doubt, the Mariners in their history have not had a lot of seasons over 500. I get it. But, we're in it to get to the playoffs, to get deep, and get to the World Series. So, everything we do as an organization is going to be geared towards that, whether it's decisions that are made, on personnel, on players, on coaches, on scouts, whatever. It's got to be a championship-type organization, and we'll continue to build on what we started this year.
How much better equipped are you for that now after a full year?
Well, I think, experience is huge in our game. I know it is for me. I think, for the guy in the front, Jerry, the guys in the front office, looking at our team, trying to address the needs and how do we get better, we do have a feel for where we're at and what's ahead of us. We also know we're in a very tough division. And next year we want to win the West, so we have to worry about this wild card stuff. So we got work to do.
Hey, Felix, you're going to give him a quick hook anyway, or what was?
Yeah, it was more, seeing how he was feeling, where he was at. I think he'd had enough, and it hasn't been a great season for Felix. I talked to him a little bit after he came out of the game today, but certainly when we missed him the 6 or 7 weeks that he was out, it really hurt. Ability to get deep in games and just the innings, the load that he takes on, but to do that and where he's at in his career, he's going to have to make a few adjustments in the off season and come into spring training with a little bit better shape, a little bit more urgency, because we certainly need him at the top of the rotation. We need him in the rotation, preferably at the top, because he's got history of doing that, but he's kind of at that point in the career where he's going to have to make a few adjustments to get the results he wants.
This regime obviously wasn't here 2 years ago, but at this point 2 years ago, fans were excited, looking forward to the next season, and then there was a big letdown. What would you say to fans right now to sell them on the fact that there's not going to be a letdown, that you guys have the pieces in play?
Well, we got to continue to get better. There is no doubt. I think we understand a little bit what areas we need to address. I can't speak to the last regime. I was not a part of that. I can only speak to this one and knowing the general manager very well and how I'm wired. We're going to do everything we can to keep turning the screw. And there was a lot of things that went our way this year. There were some things that didn't. But, we understand that, the offensive years we had by a number of our players may not be repeated again. Where are we going to get it? Okay, it's going to have to come from other places, in our lineup, in our bullpen rotation, whatever. So I don't think you'll see us sitting pat. I think you'll see us aggressive, trying to get better, and maybe in some areas that the normal fan isn't even anticipating happen. But we'll be creative. And like I said earlier, it's not about finishing 500. I'm not really up for that. It is, you'd rather win more than you lose, but it's about getting to playoffs and winning a championship. So we got work to do.
It was a little thing. Gamble and Heredia, two guys that kind of building on there. They show a little athleticism there in the doubles.
Very much so. Yeah, I think I really like what I've seen out of Ben Gamble. Really his first crack to get a chance to play a little bit in the big leagues, and we've thrown him in there late in games. He's handled it, gotten some big hits, played well defensively. I think it's a guy we can grow with, and the same with Heredia. They got things to work on, like young players, and the consistency offensively will be the key for them. But like the athleticism, like the aptitude, those are two young guys that are willing to work, ask good questions, want to learn. and they got a chance.
Is there a carryover effect from getting to the second and last game of the season in contention that carries over till next year?
I don't know if you're getting close. I think how we played down the stretch will carry over, and I think the urgency in how we played, the ability for some of our veteran players to step up, and not just talk it in the clubhouse, but step up on the field, I think carries over. And they continue to grow even later on in their career. So those are all positives. I think, hopefully Eddie Diaz continues the role, because I think he was a key to our season and turning it around. Just having that guy at the back end that could wipe them out. So there are some positives that certainly carry forward. But you got to start all over. 0-0, and like I said, we're in a tough division, and we'll have a lot of work to do.
Hey, Scott, you mentioned Diaz. Did he just get tired September?
Oh, I think maybe the finish to some of his pitches a little bit. And we talked about it when it first came up. We had to be careful how much we used him, hopefully leaving a little bit in the tank at the end. There was a few outings where you had to go get him in the 8th inning, because that's just where we were at. We had to win that game, and that does put some extra stress on it. But, I thought he threw the ball very, very well. I also think you have to give credit to the people in the league. Once they start seeing him and understanding how he does it, they're going to approach him a little bit differently, and I think you saw a little bit of that as well.
It's a tough pitching market, starting pitching market. You mentioned Felix, and different work needed to be done. All 6 of your guys, what can they do in the offseason, and what can you do to help them as an organization?
Well, they're all a little bit different. Felix obviously has a great track record. Kuma, I think, threw as many innings this year as he ever has. So he's probably gone a little bit farther than we even anticipated he would, and staying healthy the whole year. I mean, everyone's different. Where Paxton's at, where Walker's at, what we got out of Miranda. They each have their own thing they need to address, whether it's tightening up the breaking ball, the consistency of delivery. It's Taiwan, just consistency across the board. And it's hard. It's hard to keep it together for 34 or 35 starts. But that's what we need. You got 5, 6. You're going to need 7 or 8. Every team does. So we'll continue to address that. But every situation, every guy's just a little bit different in that regard.
Did you talk about this with Felix about some expectations for what you want him coming back?
Yeah, I think he understands. And we will. I think with the suddenty of us losing last night, him pitching today, it hasn't been sit down, whatever. Mel has continued to talk with him. You get out of this game what you put into it. I'm a firm believer in that, and that's everybody. That's just not Felix or our regular guys. It's you got to put a little extra in if you want to get a little extra out or play a little deeper in the season.